Okay, we are live. We're super excited to be here, and it's a Thursday. Actually, like speak about everything like Linea and MetaMask cards. We have such an exceptional and honored speakers today. Do we wanna before like I just give intros? Let's just do a quick intros, starting from Daniel.
Great. Yeah. Hello. Am I on? Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes,
Hello. I
we can hear
am
you.
Daniel. I've been working on this MetaMask card for the past 2 years here at Consensus. Worked on a few other things like leading a lot of our Latin America initiatives, a lot of our partnerships with exchanges, and a lot of DeFi protocols. But of the card, I'm particularly excited. First self-custodial debit card, totally integrated with DeFi, allows you to be your own bank. But I will save that for a little bit after because I'm sure these other guys want to introduce themselves. Yeah.
Nice, nice.
All right, so
No,
let me
go for it.
introduce myself.
Yes.
Yeah, my name is Lugi. I'm the BD director of a startup called Lumix. We are one of the main infrastructure providers for institutional development over here in Latin America. And I was privileged and invited by Daniel to be one of the first to try the MetaMask card here in Brazil. I'm actually becoming a MetaMask card maxi over here, paying like everyday daily life stuff with the MetaMask card. And I'm here to share some experiences on my usage of the whole product as well.
Nice.
Ama-
Super excited to have you here, Logi. Go for it, Simon.
Amazing. Yeah, great to have you here. So I'm Simon. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer at Banks. So we're the people who basically built the product that drives the MetaMask card. So I've been working on the MetaMask card since before it existed, similar to Daniel. So we're basically, effectively the market leader in custodial and non-custodial, which is what we're here to talk about, crypto payments. Obviously, we work with amazing partners like MetaMask. We also work with people like Ledger and 1inch. And realistically, the whole vision that we're working towards here is building out bankless payments. So how do you actually start to get an environment where you turn every wallet into a non-custodial neobank, i.e. you can be your own bank. So looking forward to sharing about that today and great to be here. Thank you.
Nice, nice. That's super exciting. You can be your own bank. We definitely need to kind of like fragmentalize this statement. I really like that we're deeping down a little bit on everything MetaMask cards. And also it's very excited to have you here, like Lugi, for really like understanding, how is your experience? How is everything? You know, 2 weeks ago also like kicked off in Switzerland, and I'm literally using every day. I'm sending like screenshot all the time to Daniel, and he's extremely excited. So what today are we talking about? Like we are going through like a little bit, what is this MetaMask card, where it launched, what's the background, and obviously how it works. And then we'll just go a little bit like on this expansion in LATAM. We're super excited. Daniel is pushing really the boundaries, and we're also excited to have you here, Simon, on speaking a little bit more on the process side. And then we will have a colleague of Linea that is joining later. He will like explain a little bit what is this all about, this crypto like challenge, holiday challenge. Obviously, we're going to Christmas. We need something like that, and it's great to see. And then obviously, during the way, Yugi, we need to hear always your feedbacks, all your inputs around your experience. So let's get it started, and let's do a briefly intro on the MetaMask side. How does it work? Daniel, you wanna kick it off?
Sure. Yeah. I think there's two core things that we can talk about a little bit today is like how it works, but where we want to go. And I hope we can revisit where we want to go, but let's start with how it works, right? And I think I can kick it to Simon for a little bit about this too, but an interesting story because of this time of year, we actually first pitched MasterCard on this 2 years ago as Linea was being born. It was the day that FTX happened. Me and a colleague, Marco Monaco, got on a call with MasterCard. And I used to work in payments and I understand how multi-legged payments work. And like a bank has an account with another bank that acts as like a bridge into another country. I was like, well, couldn't we do that for crypto, right? So there were a lot of cards that were allowing you to spend from your custodial balance, or there were cards that were allowing you to spend from a self-custodial wallet, but they were top-up cards, prepaid cards, right? So to fund the card balance, you essentially have already sold your crypto. So it's great if you've got some USDC, some ETH, some Bitcoin, you can top up your card. But in doing so, you have sold your crypto. You can't put that into Aave. You can't put it into Compound. You can't swap it. It's gone. It's just a fiat balance that you're now carrying around in your wallet. And I was thinking that there could be a way that essentially we could partner with someone who was both like a program manager and could work with an issuing bank, but was also a virtual asset service provider so that you could swap assets to this like treasury account that we would maintain. And at the same time, the fiat would be paid at the point of sale. So you would have the luxury of retaining access to your crypto until the very last moment that you spend it. And that means a lot of interesting things. You retain custody. So interestingly, the day FTX happened, if an FTX style thing happens, you still retain access to your crypto, but it also opens up this DeFi worldview. So imagine if you put USDC into Aave and you get an AUSDC that is then spendable, you are then gaining interest on that AUSDC until the ultimate moment that you spend it. So it's not just a checking account, but also a savings account. And then, of course, with folks like Aave or Zero Lend or Compound or Morpho, you can also take out loans. So imagine today, to get an experience that combines debit, checking accounts, savings, and a credit card, you would have to be pretty wealthy. You usually have to be a member of the and also multi-currency. Forget it. You got to have at least like $1 million in the bank to get these kind of luxuries. So I wanted to have this experience open to anybody, and we're working with MasterCard for a while. And then, funnily enough, they said, "Wow, we have this partner that's really great," and that was Simon Jones from Banks and the whole Banks team. And I can pass this to Simon to talk a little bit more, but we had a few wonderful calls together, and then a little top secret origin story. A bunch of us flew to a Caribbean island together and built this like in a weekend, like a 4-day weekend together. And it was a really amazing experience. We walked out of it sure that we were going to change the way payments work. And yeah, I don't know, Simon, I'll pass it to you to talk a little bit more about how you all developed all this.
Yeah, absolutely. So we basically we've been around since 2018, and we've done, the good, the bad, and the ugly of crypto, right? We've done some things which we're really happy with. We've done some other things which actually, in hindsight, we realized they weren't the right journey. But funnily enough, I think we realized that after the collapse of things like FTX, that actually, we needed to really focus in on non-custodial payments, right? Direct payments from wallet. So user retains custody, because to me, I can send my funds to a centralized platform like Coinbase and get a Coinbase card. But what's the difference between that and sending my funds to a bank, right? It's kind of contrary in a lot of respects to the core principles of crypto, right? So when FTX went down, we kind of sat down and like, okay, how can we do this? How can we actually make something that's real? And then obviously when account abstraction became native on Ethereum, ERC 4337, etc., we were like, this is interesting. Maybe this is the way we can go. So funny enough, I was sat in Austin 2 years ago at Consensus, which is obviously a great event. Sat down with some chaps from MasterCard that we know quite well. And we said, hey, we built this. And they were like, we were looking to do some of this. And we were like, well, we've done it. They're like, we should introduce you to a few people. So then they put us on these calls with Daniel. The first call was on the 29th of May last year, by the way.
Oh, you remember the date.
Also, and we did a demo and we spent some time. We were like, hey, this is actually becoming real, right?
First purchase, you bought something from the MetaMask swag store, right? You bought a MetaMask mug with the fox on it. We were blown away.
Yeah, absolutely. I won't tell you the funniest. Actually, I will tell you later the funniest demo purchase I've done with the MetaMask card. And basically, we spent some time at a retreat last year. We spent a week together, kind of, really cranking stuff out. Came away with a plan, and then I think it's fair to say, kind of probably January this year, it was kind of clear that we were going to go. We signed the agreements in March, and then we've been building ever since, and it's been great. And from my perspective, it's the best use case for crypto payments when they're direct from self-custody, but also if you look at the fees on this, they're actually really competitive compared to even a traditional banking product. There's super low fees, super low FX fees, etc. And so genuinely, it's a product we're really proud of, and obviously working with Daniel and Lorenzo and the whole team at MetaMask has been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, a lot of things happened during that time, and it's an amazing team spinning up on different frontiers, and I think obviously I want to ask you also Daniel, Sam, a little bit just for the people hearing key features specifically, right? You kind of say non-custodial card, but tell me really in 2-3 bullet points, what are the things that you can actually do compared to the other card out there?
Yeah, so I think there's maybe 3 buckets here. Number one, it's unique. It's the only in the world self-custodial debit card at the moment that is really totally fungible activities, right? I do want to shout out some other folks that have on-chain payments. Most are top-up or custodial. There are some folks doing on-chain payments, but they're not tied to an ecosystem like Linea that has, Uniswaps on Linea. You are integrated into DeFi. You can do all the rest of the banking things you want to do. That's number one. Number two, you can spend a variety of assets, not just stables. We allow you to spend wrapped Ether. And you'll see in the coming months, we're going to expand hopefully to 20, 30 assets. So you have the maximum amount of flexibility in what you spend. Number three, there is the kind of some of the native fees stuff that Simon talked about. I have a user who alternates between, he's a Spaniard, also goes to Dubai a bit where a fund is based, and he has to spend USDC because he has a number of USDC based on his business, but also has a US dollar denominated business. And forgetting the whole crypto thing, he finds that the FX fees on him spending USDC with our card are cheaper than him maintaining a US dollar account at UAE bank. So there's also some like real native banking stuff. But then the last one, which we really want to accelerate on this quarter, is really incorporating all these things that you traditionally associate with personal banking. So saving, spending, lending, credit, rewards. All right, saving, you can save, it's MetaMask, you can have any asset, but how that ties to spending, you can spend it anywhere MasterCard's accepted. We'll be supporting more and more assets you can spend. Lending and credit are really two sides of the same coin, right? It's loans I take in, loans I put out, and the integration that we'll be doing with different DeFi protocols, as well as, some tokens it's natively baked in, like a USDY, a USDM is already tokenizing a treasury, but you'll be able to spend assets that accrue yield. And then also if you need a credit line, you can get it. And then finally in rewards, a lot of people are asking about rewards. We're a little hush on it so far, but I will tell you in January, we will be rolling out a rewards program with cash back on your purchases. That's one. But number two, we are a real on-chain debit card, real self-custodial. That also means permissionless innovation. And imagine this card signifies that you are a KYC'd, Sybil-resistant user with a spend history. So in addition to us, it is my understanding in the Linea ecosystem that people are building independent rewards programs where you can sign into a dApp. And if a project finds that distributing their token to you based on the fact that, you can't farm it, you're one, the most number of cards you can have is the number of passports you have, right? And maybe some people have 2 or 3, but it's not like someone with like 800 EOAs trying to farm your protocol, right? Additionally, there's a spending history there. So these folks will do drops to our cardholders, kind of like a cashback program, totally independent of us. So saving, spending, lending, credit, rewards. We got saving and spending. DeFi's bringing lending and credit. And then the rewards, we will have a native rewards program. But then also, because we are not a top-up card, because we are not a custodial card, we're creating a mechanism for folks in different NFT projects, DeFi projects, meme coin projects to create their own rewards programs. And then the user can opt into that by using their dApp. So I think that degree of reach and flexibility would be really key.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
I agree with Daniel. All I would add to that as well is I think, one of the core themes that we're working towards here is this whole idea of, hey, if you think about the world, right, if you think about the internet, I'm going to get existential here, but the world platformed around a very limited number of endpoints, right? Google, Microsoft, whatever else, right? Meta, right? Mm-hmm. And actually, in all those instances, in all those relationships, they abstract value from the world, right? So you get paid, you don't get paid. Google get paid to take you to a retailer. And the whole principle that we're really working on here around rewards in the longer term is this idea of, hey, because you went self-custodial, because you disintermediated, because you went into DApps, you went into Web3, you chose to be your own participant in a financial economy and a community, that you should be the one who gets those rewards directly. So the kind of North Star vision to me would be to say, hey, let's say, for example, you go to a shop every day and you buy stuff every day. You have the biggest problem in retail. If you go there every day and you buy something, but they don't know who you are, they have no way of rewarding you. So why not make it so that in a permission way, the user can make that experience seamless and they can get more benefits because they chose to go non-custodial? Why not make it that, cashback incentives that typically get swallowed up by people who are the referral funnel? Actually, the referral funnel is you because you're the consumer, you own your data, you own your financial world effectively, right? There's no one between you and those people. So we're making it much more peer-to-peer, much more democratic, much more open. And I think over a period of time, what we'll see, hopefully, is that you'll get to this point where because you chose to become a MetaMask card holder, you get a much greater set of rewards, both from us and participants within this network than you would have got otherwise, right?
100%.
And
Yeah.
And at that point, you'll realize the true value of your data. And if you look at some of the most valuable companies in the world, their biggest commodity is data. So why not put that back into the hands of users and allow the users to enjoy the benefits rather than corporates and multinationals?
100%. Yeah, 100%. And I think also like, first off-ramp has been a big topic around the ecosystem, right? I think this is something that we definitely need to kind of like solve, right? But like the big things that you're speaking here, Simon, is I was having this debate in Bangkok on like I see definitely like off-ramp and this method much more as kind of like also an attestation system for off-ramping like specific like information. What does it mean? Is that also like dApps developer and builders can finally really embed attestation and rewards on a much more tangible level. And I think I'm definitely like I'm super excited about this because what you're saying, Daniel, is that I have my 200-300 cards too, right? And rewards point system. But think about that actually, if you have on-chain off-ramp on different based ecosystem, you can actually like automatize the reward system. And I think it's opening also a lot of opportunity and pain points because today, for example, as a user, normally you probably like be in touch with different ecosystems, so different method, different apps. And I think this is something that could connect the rewards, even not being in this EVM ecosystem. So that's actually super excited. I will come to you like Luigi, really like I just want to like kind of like let's start with this Daniel Simon. So what's the big news? What happened during the past couple of weeks? So we announced we're going LATAM focus and everything LATAM. Like what does it mean? This like give us some insight. I'm super excited about this, and yeah, I'm also excited. That a lot of people have started to use like very very kind of like specifically. But let's so what really happened?
Yeah. Oh, you want to, Simon?
Go for it.
Yeah, just maybe briefly. I just want to say one thing. Luigi and I speak Portuguese. I speak Spanish too. We would do multiple of these for multiple countries. We're splitting the different. There's 2 countries. Stay tuned. If you do speak those, we're just say in the chat if you want to hear an answer in Spanish or Portuguese. We're down, but stay tuned. We're gonna have Colombia-focused webinars, Brazil-focused, Mexico-focused in the coming weeks. Sorry, Simon, I didn't mean to cut you off there as we're talking LATAM.
No, sorry, apologies. I only speak English, Yiddish, and rubbish. So, yeah, look, what's happened in the last couple of weeks? Well, fairly big news, obviously, in the last couple of days. Obviously, Brazil, Mexico, and Colombia. We've launched them, which basically, the principle is we're doing the same thing that we did in Europe, which is that we are basically rolling this out to a limited number of users who can get to be kind of early adopters, and we can test the systems, we can see that things work. Obviously, there might be 1 or 2 little things we need to fix over the next few weeks that come up. But the whole idea is that we want people to come in, we want them to see the product, we want them to trust the product, we want them to see that they can delegate, that it's safe, that the technology is sound, that the contracts are published, the audits are published, that these smart contracts have been through about 6 different sets of audits, to be honest with you, and actually really get people used to the idea that you can delegate from your crypto wallet. Those funds stay with you. You can spend them at checkout. It will work, and it is safe. And this is the plan, really. And the LATAM kind of expansion for us is a big milestone because it's really, I think, one of the most important communities in terms of how we can solve social problems, right? How we solve the underbanked, how we solve the unbanked issue, and how we can really show crypto for good. So in short, we've launched those 3. I think the message clearly is let's go. At that point, I'll hand back to Daniel.
Oh, no, I mean, maybe even I could even hand to Luigi. I want to hear a little bit about what Brazilians think about this. But yeah, I mean, look, we got 60% of LATAM, but hey, Brazil, I love it. Meu coração bate verde e amarelo. Colombia, que vou pues. I'm from one of the most Colombian neighborhood in America, New York, Jackson Heights. But we're not going to stop. So for George, when Argentina, en breve mano, we are coming. Argentina, Chile, Bolivia, all of them. We are super pumped to get to the whole Dominican Republic, que lo que, Puerto Rico, que la que hay, the trust, Ecuador. We really want to get to the whole continent. It was easier because of we have to work with an issuing bank. And we were able to facilitate these 3 countries, but just be sure that the entire continent is on our mind. And I would love to hear what Luigi, what his thoughts are. And we got to hear from the real Brazilians here. How are you liking it?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, all right. So once again, thank you so much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here sharing this experience with you guys and being part of this MetaMask card expansion into LATAM. And I believe like the first thing that is important to share is that for us Brazilians and also like Latin Americans, being able to easily access and use dollars on like a daily basis is basically like a killer app because our currency is normally undervalued like if compared to dollar, especially when I talk about Brazil. This year the Brazilian real, that is like the national currency that we have over here, was one of the currencies, I believe top three, that had like the biggest devaluation like in front of dollar. So being able to have my money in dollars is a way for me to protect, the money that I have. And then being able to easily spend those dollars on like my daily activities is just like a killer app that I'm really enjoying it to be able to have over here. And sharing a bit more on like what I used it to be do before the MetaMask card and what I am doing like right now, and to show you guys how easy it is to use like on a daily basis. I always had like a big portion of my like portfolio and money in USDC, and whenever I needed to pay some like bills and stuff like that, what I used to do was send this money into a centralized exchange, then the centralized exchange to my bank account, and then pay for the things that I needed to pay. But now the only thing I do is to bridge this USDC into the Linea chain. And as you guys can see here, I already have like my MetaMask card with my Nubank card and a Wise that I am not going to use anymore because now I'm a MetaMask card Maxi on my cell phone, and I just tap and pay for whatever I need over here. So once again, like for us, it's like a true killer app in terms of like, first of all, being able to protect your money of what's happening to like some currencies of some countries, and then easily being able to rely on auto custody, not anymore like on this path that I just mentioned, like sending to a sex, then to your bank account, and then paying for like stuffs. Then you are like likely going to be like super taxed on this path as well. So yeah, super happy with everything that is happening. And guys, something that I wanted to share as well, of some like studies and experiments I've been doing like on these past couple days, comparing like the MetaMask card with traditional solutions like Wise, for example, that I used to use before. I believe that one of the main benefits is, first of all, flexibility. So every time I use it to, for example, send uh, reais to Wise to then buy dollars, I had a feeling that I was putting my money into a closed silo. And whenever I send it to MetaMask, I have a feeling that like I have more control of this money. If I want to send it back to a bank, it's easy. If I want to send it to a friend, it's easy. If I want to spend, in other stuff or maybe like in DeFi protocols, it's easy because everything is composable, as Daniel mentioned it. Like, and this is like the second biggest benefit of having like a card that is not like siloed into a company, but is rather it composable and integrated to a whole DeFi ecosystem. So, for example, I can get APIs on the dollars that are in Linea. If I don't want to, sell some of my assets like Ethereum and stuff like that, I can lend them, get some dollars, spend those dollars, and then repay like the lender. So this is like truly beneficial, when you want to add greater like complexity in the good terms to your money. And one last thing to add over here, I would say that the speed of things is also something really amazing. So, for example, whenever I use it to send reais to Wise, it took me like some days, some hours for things to happen. And here in crypto, everything like is instant. So if you need money for now, you can have it like using the MetaMask card, Linea, and USDC for like your daily usage. So just concluding everything, like having dollars and being able to spend it on a daily basis. Killer app for Latin Americans, really strong. Second of all, being able to have your money in a composable ecosystem rather than like a siloed company, like the companies I just mentioned, much better as well. You have more freedom and you're able to do more with your money, like getting interest and stuff like that. I just mentioned it. And just to conclude over here, the speed of things is much better as well. Like everything is instant rather than having to wait for a couple of days and hours for some executions like deposits, conversions, and withdrawals as well.
I
And Luke,
really
I
like
have a
because
question for you. I was very curious since you flashed the Google Pay, Apple Pay app. One thing that I've been super interested in, I'm from Jackson Heights. If you all know, in Queens, it's like the most international neighborhood in the world. No one is American, speaks every language in the world. There are billboards for RIA and Western Union everywhere. And I think about it in a cross-border sense, but as a Brazilian, perhaps you're thinking about protecting yourself against inflation and maybe having more access to different currencies, either for remittances or for your cousin or uncle or friend in Brazil. Has anyone ever thought about, or have you discussed yet, maybe setting up accounts for your family? Because imagine you can fund the EOA. When they KYC for the card, they don't have to know anything about crypto. It's just another card that's in their Google Pay. So imagine if I have to send a remittance to my cousin in Mexico, instead of paying the fees for the remittance, and instead of him having to take it out in the only one currency or two, you could probably do dollar in Mexico, but or Colombia, maybe they'd have to take out in peso versus dollar. What they can do is both get a cheaper remittance, maintain that US dollar balance, and then they don't have to know anything about crypto. As long as you see the wallet for your mom, your grandma. I'm really curious to see if that case, do you think that would be an interesting case in Brazil? Like set up a few US wallets for your grandparents, and then all they got to do is load the card in Google Pay. And when the physical card drops, maybe the physical card, but they don't have to know there's crypto at all, right? It's just infra for a better payments and saving experience.
Can I just say one thing on that point as well, right? One of the big things that anyone who hears me ever speak at an event or anything like that will know I always say the same things, which sometimes, can be a little bit boring, but in reality, it's like, it's true. And I think one of the key things that wanted to work on from day one was this idea that, a payment should just be a payment, right? It shouldn't matter whether it's me sending money from here to Daniel in New York or Francesco in Switzerland or Luigi in Brazil, right? It should just be one process. And I think one of the key things that we want to work towards in terms of supporting this infrastructure is the idea that, effectively, like something like Swift, where Daniel used to work, you could still send a Swift payment, but I like that. You could still send a Swift payment, but why would you? It's like sending a fax, right? You just send an email. It's easier, it's faster, it's quicker, it's better, it's richer, it's more in tune. And I think, the whole idea of abolishing the idea of cross-border payments would be a huge thing for us. Like we would love that. And Daniel and I both know how antiquated that world is. But I guess, without going too off topic, I suppose following Daniel's question, how big a use case do you think remittance is? The ability to move money, say, between Daniel in New York and you in Brazil, or your family, or whoever else.
Yeah, I would say something huge, and I can even put here some live examples and experiences I had in the last couple of years. So I support a school in Tanzania that is called Save Brain Academy. I, in 2017, went there to visit the school owner and stuff like that. And every time that I send money to William, that is the owner of the school, I use Western Union. And as Daniel mentioned, first of all, you have huge taxes. The exchange ratio is not really good of the money that I am sending to him. And the third thing that Daniel mentioned as well is that William is not able to keep dollars that are a much stronger currency than the Tanzania shillings in his account. He's obligated to convert the US dollars that I just sent him, or Brazilian reais, into Tanzania shillings. That is a currency that has a strong devaluation. So once again, being able to do that in an instant way without relying in a bunch of intermediaries, because I'm basically using the blockchain to do all of that, and MetaMask, and then allowing William on the other side of the world to keep those dollars and use on a daily basis in a feasible manner. Once again, it's just a killer app. So you facilitate the transfer, you reduce costs, and you also allow the other person to keep the dollars instead of being obligated to convert it into another currency that sometimes this person is not, he doesn't want to do that, So I would say that even on remittances, it's super killer app as well.
Yeah, I think one thing that we also need to consider is that most of the payments today, they are kind of cross nation, they're unstable, right? And I think if you look in stable off ramps right now, I think that's the most down and usable and impactful off ramp system that you want to have. And that was kind of like my question. You touched already, Luigi, on challenges, on opportunity in general. But I think especially communities, like cross remittance, I think that's huge. But I think also like payments that could be like peer to peer on the streets, like everywhere, right? Like on stables, there are big things. Maybe you can touch a little bit on that, right? But I think this is for me like one of the most important and tangible like use case, right?
Yeah, and it's not only important, but I would say like it's extremely future proof, at least for
Hmm.
Brazil. So, for
Hmm.
example, over here, I would say that there are at least 5 years that I literally have no cash like in my pockets. I only use card and something that we call Pix, that is similar to like a Venmo. You basically like scan a QR
Hmm.
code or put like a public key that could be like someone's email, and you can instantly send money to this person. So once again, being able to maintain everything digital and don't obligate the other part to off ramp this money, it's something like super relevant as well.
That's so cool. And what do you think? Like, I will put a little bit on on the spot, Lugi. But what do you think? Like, is the best way to kind of like tap in terms of like user adoption around like specific sub communities? Like, you will go more like vertical, or you think like like it will grow naturally, and we need to give the best instrument and kind of like local partnerships. I'm a big fan both on the Nubank side and also Money Point side on the two continents, right? But I just want to also like know your opinion. Like, what do you think people will appreciate the most? Because I think there is
Luby,
a
just a little
big
translation not from English to Portuguese, but English to business. How do we get 225 million Brazilians using this card? Let's go.
let's go.
All right. So I believe that the first challenge that we have here, that like on one point is the main benefit, is like the auto custodial way of like dealing with things. So we all know like the benefits, but we also know the frictions. So what I would do would be like focusing on like the native users that are already here, because I truly believe that if you are able to deliver a good product, a killer app to a user, this user will, dedicate his time and energy to spread this product. So, for example, I'm enjoying like the MetaMask card. So just yesterday, I teach my brother to create his own MetaMask card as well, and maybe tomorrow I will teach my father to do it. Both of them are not crypto natives. I will have to teach them how to, to handle like their recovery phrases, how to use MetaMask, how to buy USDC like in the first
Mhm.
place. But as I mentioned, I'm going to do this as like an advocate, because you guys were able
100%.
to deliver me a killer app and a good product. So for me, I would aim for that. How we can
Mhm.
convert, all native users of Latin America, because
Mhm.
those guys will advocate for us instead of like MetaMask needing to have like the whole user like journey of like teaching about auto custodial, teaching how to buy USDC, teaching about like the security matters of USDC, and then inserting these users in the MetaMask card. So that would be like my
Nice.
point of view on how to
That's
do
so cool.
things over here.
Yeah, if I could maybe break that out a little, just to give folks some of our planning here, is that like I think there's four things that I think of when you say that. And thank you so much for being an advocate. We really appreciate it. So number one is, yeah, super. If you're a crypto native, easy. Sign up, use the card, or using MetaMask. Important to note, we love MetaMask, but this really allows you to spend from any EOA. So if you've got an EOA out there, you can spend from it, even if you use 4 or 5 wallets, or you're jumping between them. We know that our crypto natives love to try a lot of different wallet experiences, but this is not self-custodial. This is spend from EOA. So you can spend from anywhere. That's one. Number
True.
two is, it's so great that you're teaching your parents and your brother. Frankly, I'm going to set up the accounts for my parents and some of my family, and I'm never going to teach them about secret recovery phrases. I'm going to fund
Mhm.
the account for them, give mom a little money. She's just out there with the card spending. I'm going to
Yes.
take the USDC. I'll maintain it in Beefy and Aave. She's getting interest. As long as mom's happy, I'm happy. That's number two. Number three is, just to know, we are putting significant work. If you've seen the Gator framework that we have at MetaMask,
Yeah.
we will have delegatable accounts later this year. So we hope to have an experience where people can like sign up for the card, but in signing up for the card, they create the EOA, and maybe through smart accounts or something, it's a little easier to manage that secret recovery phrase. And through like partnering with banks, you can have a ramp integrated. You can even have like an earn button, so enough to know what all this DeFi is. And then someone who doesn't necessarily know crypto, but just wants a US dollar or euro account can have that. And number four, Simon is very easy and great to work with. I can attest to that. So Luigi, I think you work on a lot of smart account stuff. I just want to throw this out there for the ecosystem that we are super down to collaborate with exchanges, with other brands. If somebody has an account out there that they want to be spendable, as long as they don't mind it being powered by the bank's MasterCard, MetaMask card, hey, we're happy to link it. Because again, we can spend from any EOA. So if you get a cool project with smart accounts one day, Luigi, give us a ring. Where card is integratable. And Simon can speak maybe.
I didn't know about that, but that's just amazing.
Yeah.
We could just do a deal now, you know.
Live stream. Like
True DeFi transparency.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get some votes going in the comments. But no, absolutely, and I think we're absolutely down for that. I think one of the key things for us is that I see that ultimately the end goal for us is any asset you can price, you should be able to spend, right? And we start with crypto because the best use case. But we could extrapolate that to any scenario, right? You could be spending air miles, you could be spending reward points, you could be spending, fiat if you're really boring. You could be spending, USDC, USDT, Ether, whatever you want to spend, right? I mean, ultimately, as long as there's liquidity in the market, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to spend it. And actually, when you think about that, that's a huge abstraction of value back to the user, because we all have scenarios where we have these reward points, we have these things, these benefits, we don't even use them. Why can't we just funnel them through one product and say, hey, you can go spend it, right? So suddenly you get these kind of inverse benefits. And going back to my earlier statement about, the benefit of being your own bank should be that you can do that, right? You're not working within this analog structure of kind of defined benefit that you're forced to take because that's what your vendor selection is. You can compose your own world, right? You can create your MetaMask card powered by banks. And you can then effectively connect a series of dApps that work for you, right, to your wallet. Yeah. So whatever your wallet looks like, your wallet might look different to mine. The person sat opposite me, their wallet might look completely different. But the reality is you're choosing a financial journey that works for you. And I think that's the key thing is like, how do we empower that? And listening to Luigi on this call as well, like, especially in a market like Brazil, like we've always known that Brazil is a huge opportunity, right? Because it is an underbanked and unbanked world down there. And you have deflationary pressure in region, you have all these different factors, which fundamentally mean the average consumer doesn't really get much from putting their money into a bank. So listening to you talk earlier, a number of people commented saying I look very happy. And I do, because to me, it was just like, the ultimate affirmation of everything that people like me and Daniel have spent 2 years thinking was true. So it's great. And, in that world, ultimately, like we can collectively conquer the world, as Banks King is telling me in the comments right now. So it's great to hear, and I think from our perspective, we're wide open to opportunities and anything that makes sense for a user to compose that together into one product where it just works, and you can explain it to your mum.
Like it. I like the Daniel vision also. Like creating UAs. I think spending accounts without knowing the technology specifically, I think this is why, for example, a polymarket use case was extremely important, right? People discovered, like 2 weeks before that was like deployed on Polygon or something like that, right? And the majority of logins were SSO logins, just email and password. So I think like this is the delegation part will play a big role, and definitely like is on our end delivering like kind of a killer product. But I think for delivering a killer product, and maybe Simon or Daniel, you want to speak on that, like, you also need to have kind of like killer partnership, especially locally based, right? So how we are dealing with like, partnership for this expansion?
Yeah, so I think there's a few things. Number one, Luigi, you got my number. Anything you want to do together, we can do this. But that extends to all these great players that we love, the folks like Bitso and Mercado Bitcoin, the exchanges in Brazil and Mexico, Colombia. Again, if you're a wallet and you don't want to launch your own program, you can use our card. It's fine. You can spend from any EOA. If you're an exchange and you want to do that, fine. You may want to launch your own card, fine. But maybe you want to link our card as well for the self-custodial spend. We're open to that. Many of these folks, Transfero, I would love to work with, the BRZ token in Brazil. I know that Bitcoin or Mercado Bitcoin, Bitso, Foxbit recently launched a token together. Bancolombia, through their Wenia property, Bancolombia is the second biggest or the biggest bank in Latin America, launched a Colombian peso stablecoin. So stables we would love to work with, because again, as Simon says, if it's liquid, it's spendable. We want to support it. Then as well, the DeFi protocols especially, I really want like things like A tokens on Aave to be spendable, because again, then you're not just giving people diversity of currencies, but you're also giving them like a money market account, right? And you're not giving it to them, they're giving it to themselves, right? It's just something that they can do of their own agency. So I would say like exchanges, stable coins, DeFi, and other wallets. Hey, we're totally open to collaborate. Now that's on the DeFi side. Let's talk about the real world. This is still a credit card. Look, if the New York Mets call me up, I'm a big Mets fan. If they want to give out a few Mets tickets, people will show up with the card. Let's go in, man. I'm gonna sing "Oh My God" with the rest of the Mets people. So I don't know if they're all Mets fans. We could see, the Sao Paulo Football Club or whatever, whoever sports club. Real world brands, if people want to give discounts to our users because they think that they're a valuable demographic, we definitely want to work towards that. So again, partnering with all of these, and then you can partner without us, as I mentioned before, these meme coins, NFT communities, DeFi communities that want to create rewards programs. We are working on like Verax attestations that you are a cardholder, such that you could give people cash back totally independent of us. So I think these are all very important ways that we can partner, because we want this to be both someone mentions doxing. I want to mention this. Mind you, you are linking an EOA with the card, not all of your EOA. So you have the complete freedom within MetaMask to manage 20, 30 EOAs. Not to mention, we now have MPC snaps, and soon we will have the likes of Fireblocks and MPC Vault integrated into MetaMask for everyday users. You can choose to have these special accounts that you link to the card. You can choose to have ones that you don't. So you have the maximum amount of flexibility to preserve privacy while also having a way to spend anywhere that you want, whether it's the bodega, the stadium, or the club, right? So we do give you that flexibility. I don't know, Simon, if you have more about partnerships you think you'd like to add.
I mean, for the second time today, I'm going to say I agree with Daniel. But yeah, I think what's really interesting, actually, and this is a benefit that a lot of people, kind of forget in this world, right? It's like if you go to, for example, checkout in store today, all that person gets ultimately is a kind of micro bit of your card number and an expiry date and a code. They don't actually get anything that's meaningful, right? So where I think we're really open as well is, to add to Daniel's list around lifestyle benefits. I can actually say, hey, if the user wants me to do that, I can go to a retailer and say, hey, this is a user, they're a crypto user, they're doing this, they're doing that, here's a behavior, right? And we can start to really make it much more of a peer-to-peer interaction. So in theory, you could get much more tailored rewards, right? So, it doesn't need to know that I'm Simon. It doesn't need to know that I'm 39 years old, right? It needs to know I'm a male, I live in London, I'm a certain bracket, and these things I like doing, right? And then it can suggest rewards to me on that basis, right? And these are the things that we can actually apply technology to, because ultimately, like when you go behind the scenes of the payments world and the retail world and everything else, the actual quality of data is abysmal. And we can actually extract much better data here for personalization. So open to any form of lifestyle, any form of kind of consumer brand experience. And also, even if people want to come along with some kind of really cool AI solutions on personalization or whatever, again, really open to those collaborations. So ultimately, it's open season, right? We're a DeFi project. We're building a DeFi card. Therefore, if it makes sense and it's safe and it's reasonable, welcome to the family.
I think it's 100%. I actually want to touch a little bit on this kind of embedded kind of dApps ecosystem. What are kind of the use case? Like you touch a little bit, Daniel, but I want to understand a little bit more, like, because I really like the fact that every dApps can be connected and actually have their user spend and get rewards with a unified system that is fully permissionless. Like, what are kind of like the top 3 use cases that you think these are the things that need to happen soon that can really be a perfect combination for the end users, really, that even doesn't want to know about crypto,
Yeah, I'm gonna do you better than 3. I'm gonna raise you 1 and give you 4. Okay.
I like it.
Number 1.
Didn't CZ warn about 4s?
Let's go. Number 1, there are many tokens that rebase naturally, right? So you think about like SDETH in the ETH world. You think about USDY from Ondo. You think about USDM from Mountain. Once we facilitate that spend hands-free, is if you use it, it's accumulating. Number 2 is we do definitely want to have that deeper integration with the tokens that you get out of DeFi protocols. So again, with Aave, I put the USDC into Aave, I get AUSDC. AUSDC both accrues interest and is spendable, such that I am getting the interest until the last moment I spend. So if I have $1,000 in Aave, I'm getting interest on that 1,000, and I will be getting interest on 990 the moment that I spend $10 on a sandwich, right? Until that exact moment, right? Number three, as you mentioned a little bit before, is we do have a very unique identity system that we can build out of this, right? So if you think about KYC, Sybil resistant users with a spending history. So if you as a DeFi protocol know that folks are both cardholders and users of this DeFi protocol, you can do some interesting things. Number one, this is my third point, is give them preferential rewards. You can say, hey, this is a big spender, just like at the bank. You get better rates sometimes if you're at the private bank. I mean, this is something that we're trying to fight a little bit with this card so that people can have the reach of everything that they want to do, but you can still motion, and again, total control of your privacy. You can choose to do these attestations, but if you choose so, a protocol like Aave or Compound or Morpho could choose to give you preferential rewards. And then lastly, on the credit side, I think it's very interesting because again, you're going to be building this credit history. You could be a KYC individual. So today, if I want to get a collateralized loan out of Maker or Aave, I have to put a loan in, right, to get the USDC out. Well, if I'm a regular user, if they see my spending history, and if there is some form of collections that can happen, we can imagine a world where this collateralization goes down, where automatic repayments of loans can happen. So you're getting credit on chain, but you're getting some of the benefits of credit history that we've seen since Capital One invented the credit score 30 years ago. So I think that between those four, whether it's like native rebasing, DeFi tokens, preferential rewards, or preferential terms on credit, we're looking at a real revolution that we can bring to spending, saving, lending, credit through DeFi.
Yeah, you can finally build the on-chain.
Thing too that's totally unrelated, Francesco, because I just got my little ring that we're almost 10 minutes up. People are asking about rewards. I just want everyone on this call to know that we got a reward out right now. It's called the Crypto Holidays Challenge. If you go to our Linea page, you will note that if you post a video of yourself doing a purchase, now, if you got a burner phone or if you're paying with your watch, you can take a video of yourself doing the purchase, but don't worry if it's not the purchase. If you can't do that, just film yourself eating the sandwich you bought after and post your Linea scan of the purchase or something, right? As long as you do a post with some video and the hashtag, the Crypto Holiday Challenge, we're selecting 100 people a week to win 200 USDC. That's 200 USDC. I don't know what that's buying you in Brazil and Mexico and New York, pretty expensive place. It's still buying me a lot. And we have quite a few interesting folks out participating. I think Luigi did a little purchase this morning on his vacation in Norway. I will say to everybody, please do participate. We want to get the word out about this card, but then you have a pretty high chance of winning this 200 USDC right now. It's, Feliz Navidad, Prospero Año, y mucho rewards. We want to have a beautiful Christmas holiday, Hanukkah season for everybody. Feliz Natal a tudo brasileiro que quer 200 USDC. So please participate in the Crypto Holiday Challenge. We would love to see. We want to see what you're buying too. I always say this a lot. Everyone used to talk about bringing Web 3 to Web 2, Web 3 to Web 2. Payments exist since Mesopotamia. That's way before Web 2. I say we're bringing Web 3 to Web 0, as in real life. So we're really happy to see you doing that. I'm sorry, I'm seeing from Lindo Canal de Maya just a question about the passport. We are allowing passports right now. We will be expanding to Carteira de Motorista and other national IDs soon, but we do have to work with the issuer on that. So for today, it's passport, but we will be expanding to other ID forms in Brazil over the coming weeks progressively, but we have to work within the framework of ultimately it's accepted everywhere MasterCard's accepted. We still have to work with an issuing bank. We do all the on-chain stuff, but we still need to do a little bit of work. So many apologies if that's not working yet. But Passport works today, and over the next coming weeks, we will facilitate more forms of ID, and thank you for your patience.
Yeah, absolutely. And just one thing I'd add on that, anyone who's having that issue, if you want to DM me, I think I'm connected via my Twitter account. I will look into that personally for you, okay? So I can help speed up. We are changing that. But if you do have issues on that, please DM me or email support at withcl.com. Which is our support email. You can copy me in. My email address is not that hard to guess. It's my name @banks.com. And I will keep an eye on that, I promise you. Okay. Also, Daniel, as it's Christmas, we're doing a Christmas giveaway. I think, I'm in a mood, so we'll match the USDC giveaway with BXX, which is our native token. So if you guys send me the wallet addresses, we will match the 200 USDC and BXX giveaways. There you go. See,
Nice.
everyone's getting richer, and that's cool.
Oh. Scrooge at the end of that movie when he was after the 3 ghosts visited, he said "Merry Christmas to all." He saw the light. It's beautiful.
Nice.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's very excited. And I mean, I think this crypto holiday, it's all about, not just spending, but really like trying things out, right? And I think, I think 200 USDC making the really difference. I think there is so many things. Like, Lugi, like, what do you think? Like, people are just small payments. I mean, my experience will be like super small, and I've lived, like 1.5 years in near Guaratinguetá in Sao Paulo, right? Like everybody's like always doing super small payments, right? So I think
Exactly.
this like quickness, the modularity, like always like coffee stuff, daily things. If that's what it's all about, right?
Exactly. Like for daily stuff, me myself, I'm paying like for example kombucha in honor to Daniel because I know he's like kombucha king there in New York. For some beers to celebrate Bitcoin 100K. But I know, for example, Lumix CTO just bought like a MacBook using like his MetaMask card. So we already have like folks using for like big purchases. Me myself, I'm using it to book some stuff on a trip that I'm going to do to Norway like in a few weeks. So once again, this is like another huge benefit. Instead of having to buy a bunch of coins on my Wise card, I can only have like my portfolio on USDC, for example, and use it to buy like things on other currencies. So yeah, I would say that like both for like smaller things and like bigger purchases is like super suitable.
Nice, that's super cool. Actually, like a question that I had, I don't know if it's super relevant, Daniel, but how we're dealing with like the security, because sometimes like if I don't know if the card is copied or something, how this process works, like how people are not afraid, to just get copy card, get robbed or something like that.
So this is the good news is actually we're giving you more control than you normally have in a wallet or with a card because there's multiple levels you can do. I think Simon can speak this a little better as well, but
Nice.
imagine this. You are delegating your balance. So I do the continuous balance, right? I have 0 USDC in my wallet right now because I have it in Beefy. It's earning interest and it's a yield aggregator. It's paying like 13% right now.
Yeah.
And anytime that I'm going to do a purchase where it goes down, I just withdraw from Beefy on mobile. That way I get the interest at the last moment, right? And that means that anytime the USDC hits my wallet, it's spendable. But other people may choose differently. You can choose to delegate 500 USDC. That means you can spend 500 once, 105 times, 10, 50 times, but you will have to delegate again. So we are giving you the ability to control how much you delegate. Secondly, it's from which EOA you want to spend from. So imagine you have a safe EOA savings account as your checking. This is where you play. You can also, because we have MPC snaps, like from, I think, what's it, Capsule in them. For those folks, you can whitelist things, right? You can set like a $500 spending limit so that no matter what, you go beyond 500, no one's going to be able to take your stuff. That's on the crypto native side. The good news is this is also a card, right? So if somebody does some type of fraud with you, you can report fraud, you can freeze your card, you have all the powers of a normal card as well. And if a transaction fails, you were credited the money right back as a debit balance. So I was working with I was out at some restaurant in Pittsburgh with a weird POS system. It didn't work. I was immediately credited back $200 to my card balance. And then I'm just spending the fiat that's on my card balance. So in reality, I think through the choice you have and what you delegate, the number of EOAs you delegate, whether you use something like MPC to secure yourself, as well as the traditional card metrics, I think we actually have many more vectors from which to make yourself secure.
Absolutely. Well, again, I agree with Daniel for the 4th time. But a couple of bits I'd add to that as well is so the way in which the system is designed, we have a hard-coded receive address and a smart contract. So let's say, for example, at the front end, you have the standard consumer protections that you would have by using Visa or MasterCard, right? Which means that if there was a fraudulent transaction or you paid for goods you didn't receive, you can raise a chargeback like you would normally with your bank, right? But let's say, for example, there was a fraudulent situation where someone had stolen a card or stolen your card details. The only place they can send money through the smart contract is actually to us, to our receive address, right? It's hard-coded into smart contract. So if you got to a situation where someone stole your card, ran down the street, went up buying stuff, you notified us, we froze the card, we cancelled the card, and then effectively we can cancel those transactions, but the only place that money can go is to us. So irregardless of kind of whatever security issue that a user might have, the only receive address actually would be within banks. So if you're a bank's user, obviously you'll be protected. Going beyond that as well, there's an option in the app to freeze your card. So when you're not using it, you can freeze it. And going even further beyond that, one thing I would say to people, which I think is super interesting, if you were to sign, for example, on an EVM compatible chain, the MetaMask card to a bunch of your other wallets, right? So say you take the smart contract, you go and sign it to I'm not going to name names, so I might upset people, but let's say you send it to another wallet. Let's say we get to that situation where, hey, I'm changing phone and I forgot my recovery phrase and I've got $1,000 stuck in an old wallet. Funny enough, if I've got my MetaMask card connected, I can still pull the funds through actually as a mechanism to be able to spend those funds even though they're trapped in a wallet. So there's a whole bunch of stuff you can use this card for as a recovery source as well, beyond just the standard security features that we built. So yeah, I think it's from a consumer perspective, I think genuinely it's actually probably it's as safe as any other product you're using, if not more safe.
What about like geolocation spending? Like if I'm spending right now in New York at Daniel's and then like, I'm going to Sao Paulo, is there like something there?
Yeah, so we use a bunch of AI in the background for transactional monitoring. So if you were, without going too far into the details of what we do, because I don't want to say people about how to get around things. But for example, like if you were to go from, let's say you were in Switzerland today, New York tomorrow, and you're in Sao Paulo the next day, and you were spending on your card, because you had gone across multiple countries and multiple times, we would get a notification. So we would look at that behavior. And if we could see, hey, this guy's spending $20 in the airport, it's like, that's fine. But if we see, you're spending $10,000 as a pattern, obviously what we would do in that situation is we'd step in, we'd pause the card, and we notify the user and say, what's this you? And we take you through standard security for your protection.
100%. Awesome. Okay. I think we're almost at time here. I mean, we are at time here, but I just want to say I learned a ton, especially the energy in this room is really hot and spicy. And actually, like, I want to say we're also working on tons of like grants and specific like things like, especially on Q1, like having like some kind of like funded multi-sig to actually like, to have people like that are contributing to like, casual monthly like meetup in those countries when we're shipping like the card. I think this is super valuable. So everybody that really wanna, advocate for it, just wanna, even advocate and build cool like, dApps that will be connected with it, right? I think everybody's super welcome to DM anybody from us. We're really like trying to support. And I think Lugi, you are doing an amazing job here to really like bring the vibe and really like practically speaking and doing the job right. We are really on the ground, and this is what really matters. So any kind of closing words, everyone, that you guys want to like take, if people need to kind of take home one thing, what they need to take. So let's start. I know, Daniel, you have always like some like preview like cool energy things, so I will let you like be the last person. So like Simon or Lugi, you wanna close it up with this?
2025 is always going to be about freedom.
Yeah, and my final take is similar to like this freedom take, but it's about you having like a dollar account that is not siloed like in a company, but rather is like composable to another huge ecosystem, which is Linea, where you're able to accurate more value to the money that you will spend in the future, rather than just putting like sit down in like some other cards. So like this is huge for for your possibilities.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of the same in that, well, it's up to us and it's up to you to work with us. You out there in the audience, I'm pointing at all of you. We really want to work together to be like, you have an account at XYZ Bank, ABC Bank. We want to have people have the opportunity to have a freedom to be Daniel Bank, Lugi Bank, Simon Bank, Francesco Bank, Mario Bank, Catalina Bank. And through the work we will do with these different DeFi properties, with real world properties, I think we're really going to handle those core personal banking experiences: saving, spending, lending, credit, rewards. We're going to give you all 5. And then if you want to keep using your bank, that's fine. Banks have their place, but you should have the freedom to get all 5 of those things in a self-custodial, totally free manner. Free isn't food. Probably not like pizza.
Yeah.
You might have to.
Good. There you are.
With freedom, you have to learn to trust yourself more than anyone else, right?
Oh yes, I think that's very important. I think also doing it with like, with Linea and MetaMask, it's such a like, a big kind of like ecosystem and very tangible. Okay, let's finish up. Show me your card because, if we're doing this call and you don't have a card, that's bad. I will show mine here, but awesome.
Maxi.
Yeah, there you are. There you are. There you are. Awesome, 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 awesome. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Awesome. Show that transaction. Okay, thank you guys. Looking forward for the next one. And probably like we're doing a recap. We're doing a Spanish one in January. We already told that, and a Portuguese one. And we definitely like, need to start those meetups, Luki. So let's
in real
let's keep in
life. Yeah,
touch
look out. Sao
and
Paulo,
keep going.
Rio, Medellin, CDMX, Monterrey. We're coming to you. We'll drop a few USDC or USDT on you for coming to the event. We'll give you some frango pasarino. We can have a few snacks and we can talk payments and banking.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Awesome.
I'll see you in Cartagena.
Awesome. There you are. There you are. Cheers, guys.